Hey, welcome back to the Winter Wolf Den, guys. Winter Wolf here. Gonna cover some Sandman on Netflix today. Guys, I had a blast with that show. Wasn't expecting it at all. Didn't know too much about Sandman going back into the 90s. I probably have the first few episodes. I probably have the first few issues of the graphic novel laying around somewhere, but probably read them and forgot about them a while ago. But I was excited to see it come back because I did remember it being kind of like the mind trippiness that you'd expect from Neil Gaiman, put to the screen instead of the page. And let me give you the initial thoughts. For a 10-episode series, it really did confirm for me some of the drawbacks of the other streaming shows that we have, that we've been getting. We get 10 episodes here. It's kind of split in half. The first 5 really deal with Dream of the Endless, reacquiring his gear so he can appropriately and effectively manage the realm of human dreams and nightmares, called The Dreaming. It's probably the least creative decision game I could have gone with, but I'll take it. And it does cover that journey that he goes on as kind of the manifestation of the primal aspects of human dreaming and controlling the dream world and creating new dreams and nightmares to inspire and motivate humanity. So you kind of spend the first 5 episodes getting back on track, and it's cool to see what he goes through dealing with humanity along the way. He starts off kind of ambivalent to humans and kind of grows into making a couple of friends, dealing with a couple of issues in non-traditional superhero ways. Like there aren't a whole lot of big fist fights in this show between Dream and other characters that he interacts with. It really is a bit more cerebral and kind of processing kind of stuff instead of just punching stuff. It's a change of pace, but it's never boring. I didn't have any issues with the pacing at any junction during any of the 10 episodes, including episodes 6 through 10, where the story does turn more from that kind of procedural 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes all linking into each other of the first half. You get a couple bit more one-offs through 6 and 7, and then they do kind of finish up on an 8, 9, and 10 kind of arc that deals with a Dream Vortex. I won't spoil any of that stuff because it is interesting enough that I think you guys should check it out on your own and see what you think. Episodes 1 through 5 were definitely stronger for me. You get introduced into the world lore, but it doesn't feel like a lot. You never really feel like you don't know what's going on. I mean, you don't. It's not that you don't know what's going on. You know there's stuff coming around the corner, but you anticipate it. You don't feel lost. You're aware that you don't have all the answers, but they are kind of provided for you as the series progresses. So it doesn't leave you in the dust as a new viewer. You don't have to have read 6,000 issues of a comic book or picked up the graphic novels from back in the day. So you're not going to be left out as a new viewer or as a newcomer to the IP. I understand episode 5 was a really big turnoff for a lot of people. I thought it was one of the best ones of the 10. It deals with what happens when the mortal world is kind of stripped of its preconceptions of lying, and the villain or the antagonist. He's definitely more of just an antagonist in this, and not so much a straight up villain like he is in the graphic novel. But it led to some really gruesome, graphic kind of things as people kind of let their innermost feelings out on the people closest around them. Doesn't pull any punches, and it leaves a whole lot of people all kinds of messed up. But I thought it was one of the better ones. And if you've engaged with the show through the 5 episodes, it seemed like it was a logical and effective endpoint for that particular arc. The Dream Vortex stuff that comes up in the last 3 episodes doesn't hit as hard. It gets at some really cool ideas about what Dream and his and the other siblings within the Endless are supposed to be and do, but it's not. When I went back and I kind of compared those episodes to what I had on the page, because I actually dug out the old graphic novels, those episodes hit harder on the page, but I thought the first 5 were actually better on the screen than they were in the books, and that's a rarity for me. The usual cliche of the book's always better usually holds up for me, but for the first 5, I thought they did a really good job. Let me talk about casting for a quick minute here. But the casting was on point. gender and race swapping issues aside, but hey, this was Neil Gaiman's project, and if he wanted to recast the stuff he wrote, you got to give him a bit of a pass on that. I think you got to put that squarely in the category like when Lucas goes back and redoes some things in Star Wars. You can gripe about it, but like if the creator wants to do it, that's his prerogative, so you can't necessarily shit on it the same way it would be like with upcoming Rings of Power, like where people that have no respect for the source material want to change things for their own ends. Like, fuck those guys. Here, if this dude wants to switch up some parts, that's on him. It didn't really have a impact on the story at all. It really just was skin color and orientations that changed without impacting any of the arcs, which was whatever what you want to do. Standout performances for me in this. After they cast his Dream, looks like the guy in the comic. He's a little bit better looking, but the aesthetic fits. He looks like a tall, lanky, goth kind of pale-skinned Dream figure. That worked. The actress that they put in as Lucienne, his kind of his butler slash librarian, actually not butler, she's librarian of his castle in the Dream World. Excellent performance there. She was kind of like the tight knit British kind of thing. That was kind of good. And the other standout. It was in a small role, but it had a payout that came a little bit later. There was a nightmare. One of the elements from the Dream World. There was a nightmare character called Galt, who's not in the print book. She's not in the graphic novels. It's a new character they created for the show. Not around for long, but an inspiring new character that had something very interesting to say. The show really does play with some interesting concepts when it comes to dreams and nightmares and what the expectations and responsibilities are. So there's a lot to unpack within what Gaiman does there, so you get some cool stuff. Like I said, I really thought that episode 5, when the antagonist seems like he's winning for a while, that was a good one. Contrast that with a low point in the show in terms of in terms of story and plot. There are there are episodes where Dream has to go to hell to recover one of his pieces of gear. He has like a kind of like a plague doctor kind of looking mask that he uses. He needs all his equipment back to kind of reassume all his power that he lost in the pilot episode when he's captured by Tywin Lannister, which was pretty effing hilarious. So anyways, he gets to hell, and I think one of the weaker things that happened on the show was the casting of the actress that played Brienne of Tarth in Game of Thrones as Lucifer. It just didn't work. I mean, she's a fine actress. It's not about that. It doesn't work because in that aspect, the graphic novel clearly lays out who and what Lucifer is, what he looks like, why he looks like that, and it just seemed like an unnecessary swap at that point. There was nothing really wrong with the performance. It lacked some of the the raw appeal that Lucifer had in the book, in the graphic novel set, and they don't give you the whole Lucifer arc. That's probably something you're going to get in season 2, because there's no way this doesn't come back for a season 2. The run of this show, when I went back and checked, really looks like it covers volumes 1 and 2 of Sandman with they pull a couple of quotes from volumes 3 and 4, and I think there's 20. So they got enough source material they can cover. But like I said, it was a good watch, start to finish. I was never bored. I managed to binge this in like a day and a half, and I was pleasantly surprised that I was as engaged as I was, and I knew I wanted to just get on it and talk about this real quick, especially coming off of She-Hulk and going into a couple of the other things that are coming up that I don't think I'm going to enjoy as much as I did this one. I'm looking forward to more Sandman. You guys should let me know in the comments below. Did you think this was a faithful adaptation? Did you not like the switches to some of the characters? Did you think the writing was good? I'm a big fan of the writing on the show, and I've always said, if the story's good, if the writing's good, it kind of covers up a lot of the other stuff that people object to in terms of messaging or agenda, things like that. And I think here, you really don't have anything to complain about regardless of who you are as a fan, unless you're like a strict absolutist when it comes to adapting the source material. Like if you're one of those guys that doesn't think the Peter Jackson Fellowship trilogy is good because it didn't have Tom Bombadil in it. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the rest of us really liked it, and that kind of cuts across all demographics and groups. And I would say the same thing applies here. I think this has been very well received. You're going to get more. I'm looking forward to more. I'm really looking forward to them introducing more of the endless. So far, we only really got a look at death, desire, and dream. Actually, despair was in there for a minute, but they're in limited times. But we know they're setting up desire to be the antagonist going forward, which is cool. I'm looking forward to more of that. So let me know what you think in the comments below, guys. Do you want more Sandman? Are you ready to move on to something else? Hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. Maybe throw down a little subscribe for your boy Winter Wolf, and I will see you in the next one.